The U.S. government has put a 6-year-old girl on their terror watch list.
Okay, well, I'm sure she had it coming.
Okay. Her name is Alyssa Thomas. And of course, her name isn't on there because she did something. It accidentally showed up on the terror watch list. And
What, there's another Alyssa Thomas who might be a terrorist? Okay, maybe. I don't know.
So what happened is one day she was traveling with her family and they got stopped at the airport and they said, look, the 6-year-old girl is on the terror watch list. We're going to have to give you a hard time and you might not be able to fly. So we have a video about this story. Let's watch it. It's a CNN report.
6-year-old Alyssa Thomas is like any little girl.
Ta-da!
She loves her dolls, and she's already excited about the first grade. But according to the U.S. government, you should be worried about what she's up to.
I'm putting a clip in her hair.
We were like puzzled. I'm like, well, you know, she's kind of 6 years old. This is not something that should be typical. But I'm like, well, okay.
Dr. Santosh Thomas was just made aware that his oldest daughter is on the list, the terror watch list that impacts travelers who could be a threat to national security. Alyssa's parents found out at the Continental check-in counter during a recent trip from Cleveland to Minneapolis.
They said, well, she's on a list. We're like, okay, what's the story? What do we have to do to get off the list? That's not exactly the list we want to be on.
Now, we know there's a list. In fact, the government confirms that one exists, but the FBI won't say anything about who's on it, how many people are on it, or why.
The family of 4 was allowed to make the trip, but they were told to contact Homeland Security. This letter is the response to 6-year-old Alyssa, and the bottom line, the government won't confirm nor deny any information they have about her or someone else with the same name.
She's been flying since she was 2 months old, so that has not been an issue. In fact, we had traveled to Mexico in February, and there were no issues at that time.
According to the TSA, Alyssa never had problems before because the Secure Flight program just began in June for all domestic flights. A spokesperson will only say, quote, the watch lists are an important layer of security to prevent individuals with known or suspected ties to terrorism from flying. Alyssa has other priorities right now.
My Barbie, my Magic Mia, and jumping in my bed.
Her name will likely stay on the list. And as for the next time she flies, the FBI says they'll rely on the common sense of the security agents.
She may have threatened her sister, but I don't think that constituted Homeland Security triggers.
6-year-old Alyssa Thomas.
All right. First of all, here's how the NSA should handle that. Oh, you're on the watch list. It's obviously absurd. Sorry for the hassle. Here's how you contact them to get yourself off the list. Okay, now move. I wouldn't even do an extra check, obviously. It's a 6-year-old, right? Now, they didn't say that they got tremendously hassled, so...
Right, they were able to make that flight.
Right, so I'll give them a pass on that. Good enough. Okay, now, when you get to the actual watch list, I have a couple of issues. One, you've been telling me, you're telling me now that it hasn't been working since June? Like, all this time we're taking our shoes off and they're checking our names and they're doing all this. It wasn't working? It just started working in June? Okay, second of all, didn't we just tell the dangerous Alyssa Thomas that she's on the list? Whoever she is?
Right, exactly.
Right? And third of all, how does that work? If you stop somebody from getting on a plane and you say, oh, you're on the terrorist watch list, again, don't they know that? And don't they know to watch their ass? And I mean, you don't want them going on the plane, but the whole thing's kind of weird, right?
It is weird. And look, I think that this terror watch list is very similar to the zero tolerance policy in schools, right? They don't use common sense. Like, they don't want to think about it, oh, it's a 6-year-old, her name's on the list, but her name's on the list, so that's all that matters.
Yeah. But the thing is, they've got to have a better system because you don't want to take Alyssa Thomas's name off because presumably there's another Alyssa Thomas who's on the list, right? But you have to find a way to be able to distinguish between all the Alyssa Thomases because there's got to be a hell of a lot more than just 2, I would imagine. I mean, I don't think that's that uncommon a name.
Like, really easy way to solve the problem is to have the name and the age. Or maybe the name, age, and the state that Alyssa Thomas is in.
Yeah, or she can move Social Security number. Maybe it's a pain for Alyssa because she's not going to be 6 all her whole life. I mean, soon she's going to be 18 and 28, and then we have no idea, right? Let alone all the other Alyssa Thomases. Maybe you say, hey, once you're on that list, you got to bring your Social Security number with you, okay? You know, I'm just trying to help a brother out here. I'm trying to help out TSA and figuring this thing out. But you can't just keep that little girl on the list forever. That's crazy.